All right, let's dive right into this explainer because today we are looking at what has to be one of the most unbelievable corporate blind spots in modern history. Seriously, I want you to imagine a $40 billion global corporation. They're armed with internal compliance teams, external auditors, and super intense security protocols. Now imagine all of that being completely dismantled and outsmarted by just one man. For 12 years, a single individual stole every major prize in the McDonald's Monopoly game in the United States. And here's the kicker. He didn't hack a mainframe and he didn't rob a vault. He walked away with $24 million. And as we'll see today, the way he pulled this off is absolutely fascinating.
An airport bathroom, a locked stall, a metallic sticker. Believe it or not, that right there is our entire crime scene. Let's set the stage. It's 1989, and a man in a press suit walks into a men's restroom at Hartsfield Airport during a commercial layover. In his breast pocket, a handful of metallic stickers. Behind that locked stall door, the perfect crime is actively happening. He quickly slices open a tamper-proof corporate envelope, swaps a $1 million game piece for a totally worthless one, and then reseals it with his own identical sticker. Right outside that bathroom door stands an auditor, completely oblivious to the whole thing. There are no alarms going off, no FBI. Just a man walking back to his car in the parking structure, smiling, knowing that if it worked once, it's gonna work again.
I love this quote because it sums it up perfectly. The FBI agent on the case later said, "He was the fox guarding the henhouse, but he was a very smart fox." So who was this guy in the stall? His name was Jerome Jacobson. He was a former Florida police officer who actually got medically discharged in his 20s because of a neurological condition in his wrists. So after losing his badge and basically his identity, he eventually lands a job as the director of security for Simon Marketing. That's the agency contracted by McDonald's to run all their promotions. Here's the crazy part. Jacobson built the security system himself. He chose the tamper-proof seals, he mandated pocketless shoes for the factory workers, and he literally wrote the manual on how to catch fraudsters. He designed the exact traps that he was now secretly bypassing. Section 1. The Flaw in the Fortress. How a Foolproof System Failed. The most crucial takeaway here is how mechanically simple this exploit was once he found that one blind spot. Jacobson had absolute control over the supply chain, sure, but he knew he couldn't steal the pieces right on the factory floor. He needed one specific location where no camera and no auditor could follow him. So, the winning pieces traveled in a locked briefcase on commercial flights, right? Accompanied by a female auditor, she would verify the seal at boarding and landing. But she obviously couldn't follow him into the men's restroom on a layover. Jacobson actually went ahead and ordered exact duplicate, tamper-proof seals from Taiwan. And the irony? He did it under the guise of stress testing them for security and got his company to pay for it. In under 4 minutes, he'd enter the stall, cut the seal, swap the $1 million ticket for, a free small fries ticket, and reseal it. In the literal time it took to wash his hands, he had robbed a corporate fortress. Section 2. Manufacturing millionaires. The ultimate corporate money laundering machine. Think about traditional criminal masterminds for a second. You probably picture someone like Breaking Bad's Walter White, right? Someone built out of desperation, hunting down chemicals, building violent networks, laundering money through car washes, and constantly running from the DEA. Jacobson was the exact structural opposite of that. First off, he was making a 6-figure salary. He didn't even have to worry about laundering the money because, McDonald's was laundering it for him. Whenever a proxy winner cashed a ticket, McDonald's just issued a completely legitimate corporate check, complete with all the IRS tax documentation. The money was clean the second it hit their hands. And Jacobson didn't avoid the police. In his role, he practically was the police. If there was a suspicion of fraud, he investigated his own crimes on behalf of the company paying him. You really can't write this stuff.
Section 3. Enter the Mafia. Scaling the fraud with organized crime. Now, a piece of cardboard is literally just cardboard until somebody cashes it. Because company rules obviously prohibited employees from winning, Jacobson needed proxies to claim the prizes. He started small, using family and friends, taking a percentage of the cash back after they did their little appearance on TV, but pretty soon he ran out of people with different last names. That's when Jerry Colombo enters the picture in 1995. Colombo was a high-ranking associate of the Colombo crime family, and he brought a massive national network of people with totally clean records. They struck a deal deal, a straight 50-50 split. And to guarantee nobody talked, Colombo made the proxy winners pay a $50,000 cash deposit up front, literally forcing them to mortgage their homes. It creates this wild visual juxtaposition. On one hand, you have these ordinary Americans crying on national television, holding giant novelty checks, generating massive, heartwarming brand goodwill for McDonald's. Meanwhile, at that exact same moment, Jacobson is sitting in a parked car outside, counting stacks of cash kickbacks from those very same people.
But over time, the profit motive started evolving into pure hubris. You know, that excessive pride that almost always guarantees a downfall. Jacobson started believing he was totally untouchable. He shifted from just wanting to make money to wanting to exert absolute control over the game. In 1995, he anonymously mailed a $1 million winning piece directly to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Why? Basically, just to see if he could force McDonald's to break their own rules on national television, since the rules strictly prohibited prize transfers. But McDonald's paid up, and Jacobson got to sit back and watch his power unfold on the news. Later, when McDonald's actually did notice a really suspicious geographic cluster of winners around Jacksonville, winners who happened to have Colombo family connections, they asked their director of security to investigate it. Jacobson literally just wrote a report calling it a statistical artifact of the printing presses, cleared his own name right there on corporate letterhead, and the executives just closed the file. Unbelievable.
Section 4. Operation Final Answer. The trap closes on Uncle Jerry.
Fast forward to the spring of 2000. An anonymous tip comes into the FBI field office in Jacksonville talking about a massive fraud ring run by some guy known only as Uncle Jerry. Special Agent Richard Dent gets assigned the case. Dent starts pulling the banking records of every single major game winner from the past decade, and what he found shattered Jacobson's whole statistical artifact defense instantly. Let's look at the math. The mathematical probability of legitimately winning the $1 million prize was 1 in 250 million. So, the probability of any two grand prize winners sharing a real-world financial connection, it was negligible to the point of absolute mathematical impossibility. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. When Agent Dent started connecting the dots, this glaringly obvious pattern emerged. Check this out. One winner had sold a house to another winner's brother-in-law. A second winner was married to the nephew of a guy with known Colombo Mafia associations. A third winner made a massive post-prize cash transfer to some random corporation registered in Georgia. Across 14 states in a whole decade, every single winner was connected by no more than 2 financial transactions. And when Dent followed all those red strings on his evidence board, every single chain traced directly back to a single corporate address in Georgia, Simon Marketing, straight to the director of security. By early 2001, the FBI finally briefs McDonald's on what's happening. Obviously, McDonald's wanted to cancel the upcoming game immediately, but the FBI asked them to do the unthinkable, keep running the compromised game. They needed to let Jacobson steal again so they could catch him red-handed. So when the 2001 campaign launched, Jacobson handed a $1 million piece to a new proxy named Michael Hoover. When Hoover called the hotline to claim his prize, the call routed directly to the FBI. And here is where it gets incredibly cinematic. The FBI sent federal agents to Hoover's house, but they were disguised as a documentary video crew. They set up boom mics, lighting rigs, the whole 9 yards, acting exactly like a documentary video production shooting a promo. They sat Hoover down and asked him to explain how he found the piece. Hoover leaned back in his armchair, smiled, and essentially built his own perjury case in high definition, having absolutely no idea the cameraman had a federal badge right in his pocket. Meanwhile, federal wiretaps were recording Hoover calling his distributor, tracing the chain all the way up to Jerome Jacobson himself.
Section 5. The Erasure of an Empire. Why the biggest retail fraud vanished.
On August 22, 2001, the FBI executed simultaneous dawn raids all across the eastern United States. Jacobson was arrested right at his home, offering absolutely no resistance. In total, 21 people were indicted, everyone from the mafia distributors down to the proxy winners. It was a massive bust. And the U.S. Attorney General actually scheduled a huge national press conference to announce the takedown of this incredible conspiracy. But that press conference was scheduled for 9 a.m. on September 11, 2001. At 8:46 a.m., the first plane struck the North Tower in New York. The press conference was immediately canceled, the story was pulled from every single wire service, and within just 40 minutes, a 12-year, multi-million-dollar corporate heist was completely erased from the national conversation by a global tragedy. When the dust finally settled, the final numbers on this case were just staggering. Faced with federal wiretaps and those filmed confessions from the fake documentary crew, the entire network collapsed. Jacobson pled guilty.
So, for 12 years of systematically dismantling a $40 billion company's security apparatus and stealing $24 million without ever pointing a weapon at anyone, he was sentenced to just 37 months in federal prison and ordered to pay $12.5 million in restitution. The fallout was huge, though. Simon Marketing went totally bankrupt, destroying hundreds of innocent people's jobs, and Jacobson was quietly released in 2005. To this day, he has never given a press interview about why he really did it.
And honestly, that leaves us with a pretty haunting question. Jerome Jacobson had the absolute trust of a global corporation, and he defeated it totally alone in airport bathrooms with nothing more than an X-Acto knife and a shiny sticker. It really makes you wonder, if a system that large, that funded, and that supposedly foolproof can be quietly dismantled for over a decade, what other perfect systems in our world are being quietly broken right now? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this changes the way you look at the systems around you. Catch you next time.